Welcome to the Kellogg Community College Early Childhood Education site. Today we're going to build probably one of the most useful pieces of equipment in the early childhood classroom. We're going to build a sand and water table just like this one. But before we do that, let me show you some of the basic equipment that you need. You will need a PVC pipe. This is 1 inch in diameter, and you will need about 2 lengths about 10 feet long. The cost for these is about $2 a piece. You will also need a tape measure and a tool to cut the PVC pipe. That comes in a variety of different types. Here's one that just kind of works on a kind of a scissor principle. This one is kind of more like a little ratchet device that does that. And you can also use like a mini hacksaw like this. You're going to need 8 3-way connectors, and this is available on the internet at greenhouse supply places. You're going to need 2 T connectors, called T connectors because they look like the letter T. And 2 dish pans. Let me kind of demonstrate before we get started just kind of the basic way to cut the pipe is that you can get these ratchet type of pipe cutters. They're about $10 at your plumbing supply stores. And what you do after you measure it, of course, is you take this around and you just squeeze this. Sometimes if you rotate it, it works a little bit easier. You keep squeezing that, and what happens is that eventually you can just cut this right off, okay? So it works out pretty well when you do it that way. Okay, in order to do that, the first thing you're going to have to do is you measure the length of your pan from this point to this point, and then you subtract 1 inch. After you do that, you cut 5 pipes of equal length. Then you measure the width of the pan across this way, and again you subtract 1 inch. And then you cut 4 equal length pipes. The reason you subtract 1 inch is that you don't want your pan sitting right on the edge of the pipes. It's kind of a smooth surface, and if you put any weight in there, if the child leans on it, then that dish pan will fall right through. Okay, let's get started on building this. The first part we're going to build is we're going to build the top part of the case. So what you're going to do is grab one of your 5 pipes that are of equal length, and you're going to put a T connector on the end, like this. And then you get another 3-way connector and put it on the other end. Okay, simple enough. And then we repeat this step for the other side. 3-way connector, 3-way connector. The next step is to take one of your 4 pipes, that's the width of the pan, and stick that in a 3-way connector. You are then going to get a T connector and put it on the side, or the end, okay, which ends up being the side. You're going to get another piece of your 4 pipes that you cut the width of, the dish pan, and put it that way. And then what you do is you add the 3-way connector from the other side. The next step is to turn this over and put in one of the 4 pipes that you cut. Whoops, I got this the wrong way on. And stick that in there. You then take your T connector and place it on here. Your next step is to put the width connector, one of the 4 pipes, on there like so, and gently kind of squeeze them together so they hold together. You can glue these on for a sturdier connection, but what happens is that when your children are done using the sand and water table, what happens is that you can still use these connectors for different projects, and we'll talk about that at a later date. But you're going to get the last pipe for the top, which is one of the 5 pipes that are of equal size, and you will close it in. So what happens is that you will have a rectangle. Actually, you will have a big rectangle and 2 smaller rectangles. And we'll set this aside while we make the base. The base is made by putting a T connector, or excuse me, I said a T connector. I meant a 3-way connector on the top, and you put one on the bottom. This will be part of your base. And you do that to both sides. 3-way connector, and another 3-way connector. Okay. All right, now we're going to take the 2 long parts, which are actually, if you add together the top of your sand and water table, that'll be how long this pipe is. So you put one end on here and one end on here. Okay? And so what you do next is you turn this over and you put this on this side and this one on this side. So again, you have what shape? Right, a rectangle, okay? So what I'm going to do now is put the base on the stable. And I'm going to add the 4 legs. Depending on the age of your students determines the length of this pipe. These pipes are cut about 24 inches, which works pretty well for preschool age. If you're working with toddlers, I would go about 18 inches. And if you're working with school agers, probably around 30 inches. But even so, if you cut them and find out they're too small or they're too big, you can certainly cut them down to match the size of your students. And what's nice about this project is that if you have this project for, let's say, preschoolers, and you want to use it down the hall for the other children that might be toddlers, you can certainly cut 4 pipes. The pipes, 10-foot long pipes, are only about $2, so it makes it pretty easy to kind of replace that. Once you have the base down and the 4 legs on top of it, you can grab the top piece. I had to make sure I put it in the right way. And you just add that to the top part of the pipes, okay? So what happens, you're putting these 2 rectangles, actually the big rectangle with 2 rectangles in it, on the top like so. And then if you measured correctly, you just get your dish pans, which are available quite cheaply from dollar stores, and set them right inside of there. There, and you have your own sand and water table. And what's really great about these, this is about, maybe 1/3 to 1/4 of the cost of your regular sand and water tables that you would purchase. And by being able to do this, what happens is that you allow more children to have this experience at the same time, rather than children waiting in line for them to do that. Thanks a lot for joining us on the Kellogg Community College Early Childhood Education site. Come and visit us soon. Thank you.